never an end to suffering. And most of all, there's never an end to poverty. There's never an end to violence. There's never an end to conflict. There's never an end to duality. And instead, humans have decided on visual perfection, artistic beauty, and pretty gender-neutral conditions and control, with restrictions about limits of behavior and what a mind can do on a Sunday during a coronavirus pandemic in 2021 now. Humans have chosen, with their decision-making and problem-solving abilities, with intelligence, using their emotions and social descriptions in their language and linguistics of dialect and sound and letters and sentences and grammar and Noam Chomsky at MIT. When Edward Said said Palestinians deserve the rights of a human on planet Earth now. And then another book spoke about a scorched earth with some other policy about some Iranian filmmaker, some Tibetan dancer, monk, nun, example, who were told they had to die for making a film with a moving image on a video. And so they burned down a cinema and they had a new, more powerful and better Sharia law. When a book called Persepolis and a graphic novel called The Watchmen gave a world, a planet, an object in outer space, some stimulation for their reward system with processes involving a procedure called a mystery. A mystery that they go to a church to pray and share their beliefs to those others they call followers of Christ and Allah and Buddha and Judaism, with Krishna and bows and arrows flying on horses, with knives and swords swinging on mountains, with China fighting them about some dirt, some earth, some land they need to protect and not die from the alien invasion, with those UFOs landing and those nuclear weapons going boom, boom, boom. And doomsday conspiracy theorists hiding in their bunkers with their 1,000-year shelf life food, stashes of guns and knives and magazines with bullets, and bazookas with missiles, made by those engineers graduating with those prestigious degrees in those universities and colleges where they charge so much and offer so little afterwards. A student who learns to read before doing math and arithmetic and then some equation solving has only homelessness, an empty home in a room in a house rented to those who pay for an apartment in a building, offered and provided by some free services and free money. Those engineers and technicians and professionals and doctors and surgeons and all of those geniuses and those high IQ examples give those who can't learn their mathematics about some sort of linear algebra from some sort of abstract diagram on some graph on a calculator they had made in Texas with some instruments a man uses on a Sunday to control a mind out of the limits of boundaries made by the self and the ego they already said needed to be swallowed with a pill and some medicine. They call all of these options and choices in these movies, they call a matrix and a simulation and a video game and confusion and misdirection and hallucination and legal drugs, instead of an object in outer space, in a galaxy other than Star Wars and It, and some other trilogy of a universe within an artist's hand when they have a Big Bang Theory moment and give all of those nerds and smart folks and people and humans a break from their screens they use on a machine they call a computer and a laptop, helping software updates have less bugs than a bed bug infested blanket at Union Gospel Mission in Pioneer Square in Seattle, where instead of posture and dominance and visual neuroscience and observation, they use God and Jesus, and they use who's the strongest at the most seconds of every hour during the day when no one can sleep at night because all they're doing are scratching and yelling and screaming about schizophrenia they have from a ghost they can't eliminate, and a imaginary friend they talk to like the stuffed animal lives in A Beautiful Mind now. When John Nash, a doctor at MIT, talked about game theory and mathematics, teaching classes about a library where he visited and was harassed and bullied, ignored as a bitch who needed to shut up and be quiet and stay silent for a government to not assassinate him and his wife and his baby and all those who appreciated when someone says to another who says to someone who's saying to another, war, conflict, duality, Om Mani Padme Hum, I'm going home, I'm going back to where I live. And when you follow me, you will see Chuck's gun. You will see your last breath when Olga pulls out her pistol and shoots you in your head, obsessed, obsessed, obsessed with blood, killing and murdering. And those Macayos workers you say make the best burritos and tacos for your family's stomachs will ride their cars with those bombs you plant as IEDs and make you swallow them in your own grave when you die, when you're dead, when Tombstone, Arizona, and Doc Holliday and Wyatt Earp suddenly appear in your consciousness when you're dying from starvation and assaults and rapes and abuse now. And when 5 minutes and some seconds are all remaining from some corporation business with colors bright and vivid, and their coding lucid, and their logic infinite, there will always be a book written called Infinite Jest by a man who was called David Foster Wallace and Robin Williams, who died from suicide when Linkin Park made One More Light. And you all chose instead a temporary consciousness provided to make someone not as hungry when they're starving, not as emotional in a social context, in a philosophy and theory, when they are threatened and harassed and bullied and assaulted and beaten nearly to death by drug dealers and gangsters and mafia cartel tattooed villains in a city civilization called Queen Anne, Capitol Hill, Belltown, Pioneer Square. And then when a human breaks out of these barriers to survive in a world with a coronavirus pandemic, they can go to Ballard and Northgate on a light rail to get to West Seattle to eat some fish and chips provided by the culture and diversity of a community united with Mr. President Joe Biden against Mr. Former President Donald Trump, against the other Mr. Former Presidents who weren't Mr. Former President Barack Obama and Bill Clinton and George W. Bush, who all agreed together global oneness with consciousness temporarily provided succeed with defeating climate change when Elon Musk can make a gazillion dollars and offer $1 trillion of their money from Jeff Bezos' bank account to fund a climate change defeating device they call now carbon capture. Drive your cars everywhere and use your batteries. Power your devices with solar energy and eat vegan. And most of all, eat vegan with fake meat and not some vegetarian mixed with some salmon in a river dead from your chemicals making your lithium ion for your plutonium bombs at Hanford. Now, and when I have my last minute on earth, while I await my door to knock and prepare for the authorities and the military and those humans who don't need to ask for permission to enter, I begin meditating about dying and death and feel a compassion His Holiness the 14th Dalai Lama calls freedom. Now.